Vicky Bligh wants to know, what is the most unexpected side effect on you from doing this show? It's not what you think. The most unexpected side effect of doing this show was how much time I spent out in the sun. I don't know if you can tell, but my people come from the northern end of Europe. There are some patches on my body that have never seen the sun. I am almost translucent in those spots. Me and the sun have never gotten along, and I never expected to have a job in which I would spend so much time out in broad daylight. And the result of that was I was assiduous. I was rigorous about sunscreen. I used spray-on sunscreen, the blue bottle stuff, and I would apply it every 90 minutes. Actually, the latest series of videos we put up from Google Wing, from our collaboration with Google Wing, which are so awesome, that felt like old days. We were down there at their tarmac, at their runway where they test their Google Wings, and same thing. You know, every 90 minutes, I'm just like primed to spray on more sunscreen. And I did not get, I got one sunburn from making MythBusters, and it wasn't from the sun. What were we doing? I think it was the slingshot where we slingshotted the little girl crash test dummy. It was like slingshot over the border. Okay, I think it was that one. And we're up at Mare Island at this dry dock, and we needed this chunk of steel, and we had to weld this thing in situ, and I sat on the steel beam and laid down this massive weld bead, and I didn't know that I had a hole in my jeans right here. And I got a second-degree skin burn from that sunburn, man. That was brutal. That's the worst sunburn I ever got. But I never got any sunburn on my face or my arms or anything from doing the show. It was really, really, I don't want skin cancer. Yeah, that was the most surprising. And I'm not a huge outdoorsy person. I love hiking, I love riding around, but at the same time, it just was really surprising to spend so much time in the sun. All right, time in the sun. Let's see here, what's been going on? The Wampa King says, was there any particular myth that stood out as far as being time-consuming, difficult? I'd imagine those difficulties might not always be apparent in the final edit because of time constraints and streamlining. Yes. Among the stories that took the most amount of time, Lead Balloon took well over a year and a half to execute. We had, and there was some push-pull between me and Jamie in the early days. Excuse me just a second. Thank you, Norm, on the mute. Because we had this piece of lead that was 3/1000ths of an inch thick. That's about this thick. And it was, we basically looking at it made us feel like maybe this myth won't work because it was so delicate and it was so ephemeral. If you crumpled it and you uncrumpled it, you could see holes through it like a lace curtain. And we had 2 different American suppliers of lead foil break their equipment attempting to deliver the foil to us. And so there would be, so within production, right? As soon as you know you're going to have a material in hand, then you get ready to execute the episode. So we would find a foil company, we would send them our requirement. They would say, we will ship this. They would say, we're going to ship this out at the end of the week. And we'd say, okay, great. The following week, we're going to slot in to do Lead Balloon. What are the early experiments? Okay, we're going to build a bag. We're going to find out how thin we need it, et cetera, et cetera. And then Monday morning rolls around and that company calls and said, we broke our equipment, so no lead. So we scrap that episode, move on to the next one that we had in the pipeline, and then wait for a space another few weeks or a couple of months later for Lead Balloon to slot in again. And again, we had another company destroy its equipment trying to deliver. Jamie ended up finding this wonderful place in Germany called Epstein Foils that actually was like, because we determined that we needed our lead to be 1,000th of an inch thick. That in order to make a balloon that we could execute, that would be balloon sized and shaped, which was about 12 feet in diameter, that was the goal, that it had to be 1,000th of an inch thick. And it's regularly rolled at 3,000ths and 4,000ths for shielding and stuff, but 1,000ths was a tall order. The Germans, however, were like 1,000th of an inch. They were like, wait. That's 25.4 microns. We'd do 20 microns. So they delivered us under our spec, 7/10,000ths of an inch thick. The other one was bamboo torture, which is really a bleak story. Can you tie someone down and have bamboo grow through them? I have this look on my face because it's one of those stories that sounds good in the story meeting, and then when you start to execute it, all the thoughts around it are awful. The torture episodes. There's another question in here. Someone said that I have said that I have regularly said Pyramid Power was one of my least favorite episodes. Here it is. Ziz asks, you've regularly said that Pyramid Power is your single most hated story. Actually, worse than that was the torture, Chinese water torture. The idea, does Chinese water torture work? Does dropping water on your forehead work? Well, that's an interesting question in and of itself, but tying people down is awful. Like literally, Carrie Byron will tell the story of just being restrained is itself so highly stressful. And then we had an expert. Basically, it was one of these things where I feel like we were really innocent. We were like, ideas are great. And we started this torture episode without realizing that this is about horrible things that human beings do to each other. There's nothing entertaining in that framework. It's just awful. I think all of us would have preferred to have never delved into that. But trying to get bamboo to grow through a ballistics gel torso took a year. Oh my goodness, we built a greenhouse indoors, then we had to build one outdoors. We kept killing bamboo, which is fine. Bamboo grows like crazy, but still, it took well over a year to obtain the correct experimental conditions just to start telling that story. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I wanted to briefly mention that you could become a tested member. I know, everybody is competing for you to become a member of their thing. What I want to express to you is that the Tested membership has become such an important part of the Tested family. We get tremendous feedback from the Tested members, and they expand the stories that we can tell and the things that we have access to, and you can become a part of it right now by clicking on the link below. See you in the chat.